Wow, just wow. So President Biden and Republican candidate Nikki Haley are really just throwing whatever they can at Trump just to see what sticks, huh? So today we're diving headfirst into the intense scrutiny and political attacks directed at former President Donald Trump. According to two sources, President Joe Biden himself has directed his campaign team to focus more aggressively on Trump, hoping to portray him as unfit for office. Meanwhile, the Republican primary race heats up as former UN ambassador Nikki Haley refuses to back down, intensifying her direct assaults on Trump despite trailing in the polls. According to Haley, Donald Trump will not win the general election. I don't know. What about you guys? What do y'all think? From invoking the 14th Amendment to disqualify Trump from future elections to pursuing legal action against him on multiple fronts, the attacks on Trump are relentless and they're coming from all sides, be it left or right. One strategy involves trying to block Trump from the primary ballot by invoking a rarely used provision of the U.S. Constitution with the words insurrection and rebellion. Then there are charges being filed against him, dozens of felonies across 4 cases, 2 federal, 1 in New York, and another one in Georgia. Separately, a judge also imposed a penalty of more than $450 million in a civil fraud trial in New York City. And last but not least, they could take it to the House Democrats, who say that they could vote against certifying Trump if he's elected. So yeah, let's take a look at all of the cards that they're trying to stack against the former president today, and let's see if any of these are really actually going to work. Stay tuned for this hard-hitting analysis. You're not going to want to miss this. So here's an example right here. GOP primary candidate Nikki Haley ramping up attacks on Trump over Russia. Check this out.
There, both Donald Trump and Nikki Haley have had their own electoral success. Mr. Trump winning the state twice for president, Haley elected twice as governor. But tonight they diverge over the sudden death of imprisoned Putin foe Alexei Navalny.
Donald Trump is going to side with a thug who kills his political opponents.
In a Fox News town hall, Haley belittled Mr. Trump as no match for Putin.
Every time he was in the same room with him, he got weak in the knees. We can't have a president that gets weak in the knees with Putin.
You know, just imagine for a second, what if everyone could stay classy and run for office without trash talking others and actually talk about how to improve life for every American? What kind of election would we actually have there? You know what I mean, guys? But nope, instead, all we hear is news like this. Biden instructed aides to dial up attacks on Trump's wild comments. 2 anonymous sources confirm that President Biden has personally directed his senior campaign aides in recent days to focus more aggressively on former President Donald Trump with the goal of painting his Republican opponent as unhinged and unfit for office. Now, this is after weeks of Biden's campaign saying that they are fully prepared for Trump to emerge as the GOP nominee. Amara Musa, the Biden campaign's director of rapid response, Donald Trump is the polar opposite of everything President Biden stands for and has accomplished since he took office. And the campaign's top priority over the next 9 months will be laying out that stark choice for voters. Well, I think voters are pretty clear with the difference between the two. Biden's team has definitely been busy trying to steer media attention away from the recent official report talking about Biden as an elderly man with memory problems. So it's no wonder that they're pretty quick to jump on the chance to attack Trump about Russia and Nikki Haley's husband. Speaking of GOP primary candidate and former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley has also stepped up her direct attacks against Trump in recent weeks. This as Haley remains defiant in her decision to stay in the race despite trailing Trump by double digits. It's no secret that a lot of people among Republicans hope she'll just drop out of the race so that the party can coalesce around Trump. Mark Lauder, former director of strategic communications for Trump 2020 presidential bid, commented how they're really not sure what her end game is, and that the sooner that we can get the entire movement unified, focus everyone on the true opponent, which is Joe Biden, the better. But what do you guys think? But according to Haley, Trump can win any primary you want, but he will not win a general election. A Quinnipiac University national poll released recently showed Haley leading President Biden 46% to 43% in a hypothetical matchup. Now, according to the same poll, President Joe Biden holds a small lead over former President Donald Trump, with 49% of registered voters supporting Biden and 45% supporting Trump. During the same call, Haley's campaign announced a 7-figure national cable and digital ad buy that will run until at least Super Tuesday on March 5th, the day when the greatest number of U.S. states hold primary elections and caucuses. Basically, it's a move that suggests Haley is staying for the long haul. According to one Republican strategist, Haley will stay in in as long as the money keeps coming in. And there's a lot of people who want to have a counter voice to Donald Trump. But still, Republicans are showing no signs of moving on from Trumpism in South Carolina and beyond. The Hill Decision Desk HQ average shows Haley trailing Trump by 31 points in South Carolina and by 64 points nationally. According to Trump, let her run, as it looks like she'll lose by 25 to 30 points in South Carolina. He also said that we've got to stick together as a party. We have enough of a fight. Others have floated the theory that Haley is staying in the race in the case that Trump's numerous legal issues could hinder a run in some way. The former president was already ordered to pay an eye-popping $354 million in his New York civil fraud case, following a separate New York jury ordering him to pay $83 million in writer E. Jean Carroll's defamation case against him. On top of that, the former president is also facing 4 criminal cases. But there's no sign that Trump's legal issues are hindering him in the primary. A YouGov survey released earlier this month found that 66% of Republicans believe that the investigations into Trump are being conducted unfairly. More on those legal cases being thrown at Trump later, so definitely stick around, you guys. What can I say? I mean, things are really heating up, right? A friend of mine lives in Ireland, and he keeps telling me that the world is watching and how he's personally appalled at the way that Trump is being hounded and targeted. You couldn't miss it even if you were a blind man on a galloping horse. According to him, the reputational damage that this case has caused will be hard to fix. Many people, both here and abroad, are just kind of hoping for everyone involved that this judgment is overturned and it becomes blatantly obvious what's really going on. It's a real shame here. But hey, we're just getting started here. More on these attacks on Trump later in this video. Definitely stay right there, guys. But first, I just want to give a quick thanks to everybody who's watching this video and for lighting up the like button. And hey, if you haven't already, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and tapping that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any updates like this one. So let's continue. So another plan of attack that they're pursuing against Trump is by using this little known 14th Amendment. The strategy involves using a block Mr. Trump from the primary ballot by invoking a rarely used provision of the US Constitution, basically stating that current and former federal and state and military officials who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the country are barred from holding office again. The Colorado Supreme Court was the very first to offer legal backing to the idea, ruling on December 19th that Trump should be removed from the state's 2024 presidential primary ballot. Maine's top election official, Democratic Secretary of State Sheena Bellows, then ruled on December 28th that Mr. Trump could not run for president in the state, also citing the 14th Amendment. Both rulings are on hold pending appeal, but the critics have warned that if the cases move forward, they risk robbing voters of the right to deliver their own verdict on whether the former president should return to the White House. Now, the Supreme Court will be the ultimate arbiter by issuing a ruling in coming weeks on whether he can be removed from the ballot. New Hampshire Republican Party Chairman Chris Agger commented that to make a tortured legalistic logic to try and stop people from voting for who they want to vote for is a Soviet-style banana republic argument. Basically, for Agger, who's neutral himself, this whole attempt is really bad for the country. Even Brad Raffensperger, a Republican and the top election official in Georgia and a previous target for Trump, he rejected the move as merely the newest way of attempting to short-circuit the ballot box. Trump himself calls it a political witch hunt. The Trump campaign said that the legal challenge is stretching the law way beyond recognition, and it has no basis except in the minds of those who are pushing it. More and more states are falling in line to agree with him. Trump's attorney in the Colorado case argued that the twin dismissals in Michigan and Minnesota were evidence of an emerging consensus here across the judiciary. A third dismissal in Arizona is further proof on Trump's side. A new survey from the Marquette University Law School shows that these state-based efforts to remove Trump from the 2024 ballots, they're dividing the public. The poll conducted by Marquette University Law Schools shows that among the respondents who had an opinion about the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to remove Trump from the ballot under the 14th Amendment, there's an even split among those who support it and those who oppose it. But aside from the 14th Amendment disqualification case, Trump has been charged with dozens of felonies across 4 cases, 2 federal, 1 in New York, and another one in Georgia. Separately, a judge imposed a penalty of more than $450 million in a civil fraud trial in New York. Now, honestly, for me, guys, when a judge says that a person is guilty before hearing the case, that judge needs to withdraw from the case. What do you think? But hey, what can we say? I mean, despite his mounting legal troubles, Trump remains the dominant frontrunner for the Republican nomination and is polling neck and neck with Biden ahead of their expected rematch. And even if he does get convicted, he can still run for the highest office in the land. The Constitution sets very few eligibility requirements for presidents. They must be at least 35 years old, be natural born, citizens, and have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. There are no limitations based on character or even criminal record. While some states prohibit felons from running for state and local office, these laws do not apply to federal offices. Another idea his opponents are floating against Trump is for House Democrats to vote against certifying former President Trump for office if he wins re-election. The argument is that if the Supreme Court declines to weigh in on whether Trump is eligible to run for office under the 14th Amendment, then House Democrats could take it upon themselves to vote against certifying him, as it's up to them to say he's ineligible. So yeah, what can I tell you guys? Except for the fact that it's definitely the moment to pay attention and not miss anything. This is a fast developing story and we gotta stay vigilant. Make sure you guys do not miss an update. Hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell. It's totally free and it definitely helps us create more hard-hitting, truthful content like this. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.